On the night of July 1, 2002, two aircraft were flying over southern Germany. One was a Boeing 757 cargo plane operated by DHL, climbing through 36,000 feet on its way from Bahrain to Brussels. The other was a Tupolev Tu-154 passenger jet operated by Bashkirian Airlines, carrying 69 people, including 45 Russian schoolchildren on their way to a holiday in Spain. At 21:35 local time, the two aircraft collided in mid-air over the town of Überlingen on the shores of Lake Constance. All 71 people on board both aircraft died instantly. It was one of the worst aviation disasters in European history, and the investigation that followed revealed a chain of failures so extraordinary, so systemic, and so human that it changed the way the entire aviation industry thinks about automation, authority, and the relationship between pilots and machines. To understand what happened over Überlingen, you need to understand two systems, one technological, one human, that were both supposed to prevent exactly this kind of accident, and both failed on the same night. The technological system was TCAS, the Traffic Collision Avoidance System. TCAS is a computerized system installed on virtually every commercial aircraft in the world. It works by continuously broadcasting a radio signal and listening for responses from other TCAS-equipped aircraft nearby. When TCAS detects that two aircraft are on a potential collision course, it issues a Resolution Advisory, an RA, to both aircraft simultaneously, instructing one to climb and the other to descend. The instructions are coordinated between the two aircraft automatically. The TCAS systems on both planes communicate with each other directly, without any involvement from air traffic control, to ensure that they give complementary instructions. If the TCAS on the DHL 757 tells its pilots to climb, the TCAS on the Bashkirian Tu-154 will tell its pilots to descend, and vice versa. The system is designed to work even in the absence of any radio communication, even if air traffic control is not aware of the conflict, and even if the pilots have never trained together. It is one of the most important safety systems in aviation, and on the night of July 1, 2002, it worked exactly as designed. The human system that was also supposed to prevent the collision was air traffic control. The two aircraft were under the control of a Swiss air traffic control center called Skyguide, located in Zurich. At 21:34, 1 minute before the collision, the Skyguide controller on duty, Peter Nielsen, became aware that the two aircraft were on a conflicting course. He issued a descent instruction to the Bashkirian Tu-154, telling the crew to descend to avoid the DHL 757 below. 1 minute later, both aircraft collided at 36,000 feet. What happened in that minute, and why the instruction Nielsen gave was not enough to prevent the collision, is the heart of the Überlingen story. The TCAS systems on both aircraft issued their resolution advisories at approximately 21:34:42, about 43 seconds before the collision. The DHL 757 received an instruction to climb. The Bashkirian Tu-154 received an instruction to descend. Both instructions were correct. If both crews had followed their TCAS advisories immediately and precisely, the two aircraft would have passed each other with hundreds of feet of vertical separation. The DHL crew followed their TCAS instruction immediately. They began climbing as directed, but the Bashkirian crew faced a dilemma. Seconds before the TCAS advisory was issued, they had received the voice instruction from controller Peter Nielsen telling them to descend, and now their TCAS was also telling them to descend, so the two instructions appeared to agree, but they did not agree. Nielsen had told them to descend to flight level 350, 1,000 feet below their current altitude. TCAS was telling them to descend, but at a much faster rate to create separation from the DHL aircraft. The crucial difference was that the DHL aircraft, which Nielsen did not know had received a climb instruction from TCAS, was now climbing toward the Tu-154. The situation had changed in the second since Nielsen had issued his instruction, but the Bashkirian crew did not know this. They were following Nielsen's instruction. They were descending, but the DHL aircraft was now climbing toward them, and the separation between the two aircraft was decreasing faster than ever. To fully appreciate the horror of the final seconds before the collision, it helps to understand exactly what was happening inside the cockpit of the Bashkirian Tu-154. The captain was an experienced pilot with thousands of hours of flying time. His first officer was equally experienced. They were flying a routine night sector, the kind of flight they had made hundreds of times before. The weather was clear, the aircraft was performing normally, and then, in the space of less than a minute, two simultaneous and apparently contradictory demands were placed on them. A voice from air traffic control telling them to descend, and an automated advisory from their TCAS also telling them to descend, but at a different rate. In the stress and confusion of the moment, with the ground proximity warning systems also activating as they descended, with radio communications ongoing, and with the other aircraft still not visible through the cockpit windows, the crew had to make a split-second decision about which authority to trust. They trusted the human voice. It was the last decision they ever made. The collision occurred so suddenly and with such violence, at a combined closing speed of almost 1,500 kilometers per hour, that neither crew had any warning. The wreckage of both aircraft fell across a wide area of forest and farmland near Überlingen. Rescue teams working through the night found no survivors. What happened next revealed a fundamental flaw not in the technology, but in the training and culture surrounding it. The TCAS Resolution Advisory told the Bashkirian crew to descend. Nielsen's voice instruction also told them to descend, but at a different rate and to a different altitude. Under ICAO, International Civil Aviation Organization, rules that had been in effect since 2001, pilots were required to follow TCAS Resolution Advisories and inform air traffic control of their actions. The ATC instruction was supposed to become secondary to the TCAS advisory, but the Bashkirian crew, and specifically the captain, chose to follow the air traffic controller rather than TCAS. The reasons for this decision have been debated extensively in the years since the accident. The crew had been trained to follow ATC instructions. In the Soviet aviation tradition from which they came, the authority of the air traffic controller was paramount. Challenging or overriding an ATC instruction was not part of their operational culture. The TCAS system, while installed on the aircraft, may not have been fully integrated into their training in the way that ICAO procedures required, and in the chaos and stress of the final seconds, with a voice instruction in their headsets and an automated advisory on their instruments, simultaneously giving what appeared to be the same instruction, but at different rates, the crew chose the human voice over the machine. At 21:35:05, 18 seconds before impact, the TCAS system on the Tu-154 changed its advisory. Because the DHL aircraft was now climbing toward the Tu-154 faster than expected, TCAS upgraded its instruction, changing from a standard descent advisory to an increased descent advisory, telling the crew to descend more steeply and urgently. The crew did not respond to this upgraded advisory. They continued their controlled descent at the rate appropriate for Nielsen's ATC instruction, not at the steeper rate TCAS was now demanding. At 21:35:23, the two aircraft collided. The tail fin of the DHL 757 struck the fuselage of the Bashkirian Tu-154, cutting it open. Both aircraft broke apart almost instantaneously. The wreckage fell across a wide area near Überlingen. Of the 71 people on board both aircraft, none survived. Subscribe now, because what happened after this disaster is almost as shocking as the disaster itself. The aftermath of the Überlingen collision revealed layers of systemic failure that went far beyond the decisions made in the cockpit of the Tu-154. The investigation found that the Skyguide Air Traffic Control Center had been operating with significant staffing shortfalls on the night of the accident. Peter Nielsen, the controller who had issued the descent instruction to the Tu-154, had been working alone, covering two controller positions simultaneously. The normal complement for the overnight shift should have been two controllers working together, cross-checking each other's decisions. On the night of July 1st, his colleague was on a break. Nielsen was managing the workload of two controllers by himself, and at the critical moment, when he needed to track the developing conflict between the two aircraft, his attention was divided between multiple tasks. Additionally, a system called STCA, Short-Term Conflict Alert, which should have warned Nielsen of the developing conflict much earlier, was temporarily out of service for maintenance. The backup telephone system that Nielsen would have used to coordinate with other control centers was also not working correctly. The accident was not caused by a single failure. It was caused by the simultaneous occurrence of multiple independent failures, each one survivable in isolation, but collectively fatal. The investigation also uncovered the deeply troubling reality of how Skyguide had been operating in the months and years before the accident. Staff shortages had been a known and documented problem at Skyguide for years before the Überlingen collision. Controllers had been regularly required to work alone on shifts that should have had two people. The STCA system had been taken out of service for maintenance at a time when traffic levels did not justify the reduced safety margin. Internal safety reports had flagged these issues, but they had not been acted upon with sufficient urgency. The culture at Skyguide in the years before the accident was one in which safety concerns were acknowledged but not addressed, a pattern that aviation safety researchers recognize as one of the most dangerous conditions in any safety-critical organization. It is not the dramatic failure that kills people. It is the slow accumulation of small compromises, each individually justified, that creates the conditions for catastrophe. Skyguide had been building toward disaster for years. Überlingen was where it arrived. The investigation also found deep problems with the way TCAS training was being conducted across the aviation industry. Despite the ICAO regulation requiring pilots to follow TCAS advisories, many airlines, particularly those outside Western Europe and North America, were training their crews to notify ATC and await confirmation before following a TCAS advisory. This directly contradicted the intent of the regulation and the Bashkirian crew's decision to follow Nielsen's instruction rather than TCAS was, in the context of their training, entirely rational. They did what they had been taught to do. The system had failed them, not the other way around. The investigation found that the crew had never received simulator training specifically focused on TCAS Resolution Advisory scenarios. They had never practiced the critical skill of recognizing a conflicting ATC instruction and overriding it in favor of TCAS. In the most stressful seconds of their professional lives, they fell back on the training they had received, and that training told them to trust the human controller. The response of the aviation industry to the Überlingen disaster was swift and comprehensive. ICAO strengthened its guidance on TCAS training, requiring airlines to provide specific simulator training for resolution advisory scenarios, including scenarios where ATC gives a conflicting instruction. Airlines across Europe and Asia reviewed and updated their TCAS training programs. Skyguide underwent a complete restructuring of its operations, staffing policies, and safety management systems. And the aviation community produced a detailed analysis of the human factors issues involved, the authority gradient between pilots and controllers, the cultural factors that affected the Bashkirian crew's decision-making, and the need to design procedures that are robust against the kind of stress and confusion that characterize real emergencies. But the aftermath of Überlingen did not end with regulatory changes and training updates. On February 24, 2004, less than 2 years after the collision, Peter Nielsen, the air traffic controller who had been on duty on the night of July 1, 2002, was murdered at his home in Zurich. He was stabbed to death by Vitaly Kaloyev, a Russian architect whose wife and 2 children had been among the passengers on the Bashkirian Tu-154. Kaloyev had lost his entire family in the collision. He had traveled to Zurich specifically to find Nielsen and hold him personally responsible. He was convicted of murder by a Swiss court and sentenced to 8 years in prison, but was released after serving less than 4 years and returned to Russia, where he was controversially appointed to a government position in North Ossetia. The murder of Peter Nielsen added a dimension of personal tragedy to the Überlingen disaster that haunts the aviation community to this day. Nielsen had been one of the most experienced controllers at Skyguide. He had been doing his job under impossible conditions, alone, with backup systems offline, managing traffic that should have been shared between 2 controllers. And he paid for the systemic failures of his organization with his life. The story of Vitaly Kaloyev is one of the most morally complex in the entire history of aviation disasters. A man whose grief was real and whose rage was understandable, but whose act of revenge destroyed another family and solved nothing. The children who died over Überlingen are still dead. The families who lost them still grieve, and the questions raised by the disaster about who bears responsibility when a system fails, about whether any individual can be truly blamed for a catastrophe that was the product of dozens of organizational failures, have never been fully answered. The Überlingen mid-air collision is studied in every serious aviation safety course in the world, not because it was the worst air disaster ever, but because it illustrates with terrible clarity how multiple safety systems can fail simultaneously, how automation and human authority can conflict in life-threatening ways, and how the culture and training of the people operating safety-critical systems is just as important as the technology itself. TCAS worked. The system did exactly what it was designed to do, and 71 people died anyway, because the humans in the loop did not respond to it as the system required. The lesson of Überlingen is not that automation fails. It is that automation only works when the humans who operate it trust it, understand it, and have been trained to use it correctly. And in aviation, as in every safety-critical industry, that lesson is never fully learned.